Hello everybody, and welcome. I'm just gonna wait for a few people to join, and then I will get cracking on a little bit of an energy update for everyone. Hello to you. Hello Michelle, Vicky, Marie. Just gonna wait for a few to join. It's been a while, I appreciate, and so much has happened for all of us in the last month of September and October. Everything's become very fast paced and very individual, very streamed to our own individual paths, which actually serve the whole. We're in service to the whole, we're in service to the entire collective, but the paths have become extremely streamed. And it literally is about each of us just staying true to ourselves, staying in our own heart, our own perception, and following our own heart and perception. It's not about the mind. It's not about following the mind, but the mind can always get in the way. So I'm just babbling actually. I was just waiting for a few people to come in, and we've got 150, so I think I should start. Hello to you all. So good to see you all. I'm going to go through some things that are based on what has occurred, what has been shown with physical eyes in the last few weeks. It's been unfolding and unfolding as I was away. That's why I went away. And I just want to share in the hope that it supports you all. Naturally, this isn't going to resonate with everybody. If anything I say does not resonate with you and your heart and your journey, please just move on and follow your own heart and journey. That's all that's essential, is you listen to yourself, not me, not anyone. This is your dream. It's yours. What I'd like to start with is talking about the personality, because we're at a crucial point. So everybody is on their own timeline. Everybody's increasing their frequency and spiraling higher and higher in frequency as they go along their path, as they ascend. It's not that we're ascending to somewhere, it's that we're ascending our energetic frequency, which allows us to perceive with different abilities, and that allows us ultimately to change our consciousness state, which is a higher frequency to that which we've experienced so far as a human being. So that's what ascension really is the ascending of our energetic frequency. But I'd like to talk about the personality, everybody's personality, including mine. It's dissolving, has to go. We all know, once awakened, once we question things, once we go searching, after that initial awakening stage, we quickly realize that there are aspects of our personality that come up that don't serve us, and therefore don't serve the highest good of the whole. And so we get triggered and triggered and triggered all the way along, as we do. Because we don't see the lessons in the happy moments. There are lessons to be gleaned. There are wisdoms to be seen in the happy, exciting, ecstatic moments, but we don't tend to see them. We tend to just be so elated in that moment that we don't look for the wisdoms, the higher truths. We tend to see them when we get triggered. But on the awakening journey, we start to look at our own personality. We start to look at what triggers us and what triggers other people. And we're doing that all the while we are on this spiral here. We're always looking at our personality and what is being triggered within us as we ascend in our human frequency. So somebody first awakening will be looking at their personality at this level, And then as they go higher and higher in energetic frequency on their path, the more they look at themselves within, the higher their energy rises, the more they dissolve of the distortions that are of the personality. And so at another point in the awakening journey, say here, higher frequency, we see other aspects of our personality and we look to dissolve those. And so it goes on. So it's not just that when we awaken, we're seeing things here, we're seeing things all the way through, greater and greater details, that if we were at this level of seeing within, we wouldn't be able to see aspects of ourselves and our personality that we see at this level, because this is a higher energetic frequency. So here we're blind to these aspects that we've yet to see in ourselves. That's why there's always a blindness. There's always a blindness within each of us until we see. And there's always a blindness in what we see out there until we reach a stage and then see. So the human personality is an overlay. That is all it is. If we look at everyone on the planet, they're each a soul. They're each an energetic, a non-physical energy called soul. And in order to have the individual experience on earth in the solid form, we agreed to take on a personality. Every single personality on the planet is different, so that ultimately Source can have the ultimate experience of over 7 billion different aspects of itself. So when we're born into planet Earth, into the solid reality, there are many influences that we agree to have to be born into the world. So there'll be influences of, we could call them astrological alignments, such as the planets, such as the stars. I tend to call them light nodes rather than stars and planets. But there are certain light alignments that are in a fixed position when we're born, and they affect our personality. Then there can be past lives, and our soul will agree which aspects of those past lives to bring into this life, which will also affect our personality. There'll be shadows from those past lives. Then there's the family circumstance that we're brought into, that we experience, that we absorb distortions within that experience. And then there's the areas of the world that we have chosen specifically to be born in, so that we can have those experience and experience those distortions as a personality. So there's an overlay. There's an overlay for each of us that we've recognized as the human personality. And if we're unawakened, we still think we're a personality. It's that overlay that we dissolve and dissolve and dissolve as we ascend in frequency. And that's why we're always looking for the distortions, the things that trigger us, that make us go within and think, well, why did I feel this way? Why did I react this way? Why do I feel hurt? Why did I get angry? Blah, blah, blah. And then do the work. And that dissolves those distortions one at a time as we go. The actual personality then was the gift in order to create our own blindness of what we truly are. Had we known what we were to begin with, there's kind of no point in the story or the experience. And so the personality is a temporary overlay that we each agreed to have, knowing before we descended into the planet, knowing that we would dissolve that overlay and remember who we are, what we are. So everybody is at different stages of dissolving their personality. And it's not to think that, well, if we have no personality, we're all going to be the same. It's not that, because what we're becoming is our soul. We're becoming the pure energy of each individual soul. At certain points, and I mentioned this in a video February, March this year, we see the parts of our personality very clearly that don't serve us and therefore don't serve the whole. Things like we worry too much. How does that serve us? It doesn't serve us. It's not real, the worry. It's not of the now moment to worry about something that might happen in the future. And so we see that something like worrying doesn't serve us, and therefore it doesn't give out an energy that serves the whole. So we start to discard parts. We start to observe ourselves in more and more and more detail, and actually analyze what parts of our personality just don't serve anymore. But we're at a stage, and this is in direct alignment with the galactic timeline. And this stage is a dissolving of the aspects of our personality that we could call passions for good reason. And I'm just labeling this. You can call it whatever you like. But what I found is that we hold on to the last. We hold on to right to the end. We hold on to our passions that we think are serving the whole. So to give you an example of a passion that is part of the personality, I'll just quote me. I have a passion for equalness, that every single being on this planet is equal to me and I'm equal to them, that there's nobody better than, that there's nobody less than, that there's nobody higher, that there's nobody lesser or lower. So I have an absolute passion that everybody, every single person is equal to the next. But I want to show you what that truly is, and I want to show you the distortion of it, because we'll each have passions within our own personality, unique to us. You'll have your passions. And I want to show you how, even now, at this final stage of dissolving personality, the overlay, how is actually part of the distortion of the personality. So, going back to stuff I've already covered in past videos, but I'm just showing you the pictures because it's easier to describe. This is the polarity. This is the human being ascending, okay, there. And this is polarity. So we could say this is good, this is bad, this is light, this is dark. These are experiences of polarity, and each of them are just frequencies. They're just energetic frequencies that we translate and define and use words for by the brain. But we can say that these are emotions we experience. So we experience happy, excitement, bliss, joy. We can experience sadness, loneliness, anger. And these would have a lesser energetic frequency than the experiences of excitement and ecstasy, passion, okay? Nevertheless, whatever these experiences are, they're just energy. The energy that this human body and your human body is experiencing. And if you drop the thought as to what it is, you'll just feel the energy. We just label the energy as happy, sad, lonely. We just label it. We use the brain and it's not knowing to define it. But if you just drop the thoughts and feel the energy, it is just an energy experienced within the body. that has no definition until we place definition on it. So if we take our passions, let's take equalness as an example, and you'll have your passions. When you go away, you can think about your passions. But if we take equalness as a passion I have for everyone, it's a passion. It's an absolute passion within me that I feel, and I've always felt, is something that I aspire to as a human being, but it's something that if everybody was treated equally, look at the way the planet would be, look at the world and how it would be if everybody was treated equally. So you could say that my intention is pure. It comes from a pure heart of wanting equalness, of lack of control of people, that kind of thing. You could say that it comes with pure intention, yes, but it's a passion. And that passion is over here. So even passion is part of the whole field of polarity. It's still in polarity, passion. If I was to now think of equalness from a balanced perspective, from a neutral perspective, just from here, my energy would be there at 0 point, in complete balance with the ascension. It's only at 0 point we go up in our energetic frequency. At various stages of our own journey and our own path of the awakening path, it's only when we come back to 0 point, having learned a lesson, having realized what triggered us, etc., etc. It's only when we see the higher truth that we then come back to 0 point, and then bam, bing, we jump, we go up higher in frequency. If we stay in our perceptions of or sadness, we're not going anywhere, we're still here. We have to see the higher truth, come back to balance, come back to neutrality, which is 0 point. And then when we see the higher truth, we're in a balanced state of, oh right, oh I didn't see, I was blind. We reach a balance and we go up in frequency, having dissolved that false perception, that distortion within us. So everything that we have a passion about, and we'll all have our different passions that we think and feel are pure. You know, they serve the whole. They're actually an energy within the whole field of polarity. It's actually the passions that seem to be of pure intention that we hold on to within our personality until the end. And so we have the journey of going through dissolving and dissolving and dissolving aspects of this overlay, this personality that allowed for this individual experience. But we hold on tight to those things we believe in and live by and be by and give by. So you could have a passion of a lack of not wanting to be controlled by the world or by individuals, or it could be a passion of equalness, equality for all. Whatever it is, you'll hold on to those aspects of your personality until the last. Because up to that point, they've been the things they've been your perception of what you stand for, why you're here, how you want to help, how you want to assist, how you want to be the change, because you have these passions. But passion is imbalance. It's not balanced. It's not neutral. It's part of the field of polarity that we've all been in. And there's a reason we even dissolve those passions. It's not that we stop believing in those things. We don't have to discard them. But what we're going to dissolve is that emotion. Bearing in mind, all of that is emotional energies that are not zero pointed. There's zero, there's neutral, there's balance. So we're going to not discard our pure intentions, not discard the things that we love and adore, but we will come out of that passion, that emotion, and bring it back into alignment and into balance. Because beyond the field of polarity, which is where we're headed, beyond that, it doesn't exist. Singularity exists. Polarity does not exist. So we've been born with the personality to experience this polarity. And in order to go back to singularity, we have to dissolve and dissolve and dissolve even the passions and come from a neutral place. Because in the field of singularity, there are not those extremes. They don't exist. And it's the very things we hold dear in our hearts, the things that we feel are really our pure giving, that are the things we hold on to right to the end, because, they feel a part of us. But in other realms, the passion doesn't exist. Neutrality exists, balance exists. So equalness in other realms just is. It's already there. It's not something to strive for or wish or want for everybody. It's already part of all that is. It's already there. So that's why we here in the field of polarity, we're dissolving the extremes. We have to become here that which we want to be. I hope that makes sense, because I'm not very good at explaining it, but I certainly went through that stage of experiencing and knowing that it's the passions are the last part of our personality that we attach to and hold on to. It's not that we let go of them, just that we take them back into a balance so that they're not extreme. They're not extreme energies. And because those things we aspire to, those things that you believe in, they already exist. They're just a given in a field of singularity. Okay, that's where we are in terms of the galactic timeline. So for people that ask about the galactic timeline, what is it? It's, if you imagine Earth and the solar system, and imagine that whole galaxy traversing a greater spiral. Okay? It's where the galaxy moves into. And so even though we're on an Earth timeline and a galaxy timeline, we're on a galactic timeline because it's where the whole of this galaxy is moving into. And this is what, the Mayans knew about, and the Mayan calendar follows, which is why sometimes I do post things about the Mayan, because it always synchronizes to the galactic timeline. It's always what I certainly am experiencing in the now moment. So sometimes I do post those. For people who are at the stage of dissolving the final passions and just rebalancing them, they'll be experiencing multiple DNA upgrades. In many of the years, 5 years I've been posting, I've rarely talked about DNA. This year I have, slightly, because I only write and talk about things I experience, and that's it, as we go. The last month of September, we've had multiple multiple, 3 times a week DNA upgrades to the physical form. So everything has got faster for the individual. We're jumping timelines. Time is stopping. It's been a huge month in terms of the whole year. September was absolutely massive, and it's kind of in it's like a final stage for those that are precisely on the galactic timeline, which I'll explain in a second. For those that are on it literally and experienced by it as it unfolds, as the gateways open, which I'll explain in a sec, there's going to be about 3 months of very, very individual work, personal to you. The final stage, it's your final stage. It's the final stage before the Christed consciousness state, and you can call it whatever you like. It doesn't matter what we label this. It's actually a higher consciousness that we become in the physical form. So in terms of the galactic timeline, and when I say if people are on it or if people are not on it, everybody is an aspect. Everybody is a light source. There's no one that's better as a light source than any other. So it doesn't matter where you are on the timeline in reference to anyone else, because it's your dream. This is your self-created reality. So there's no need ever to compare yourself with somebody else or worry that you're not ahead or that you're missing the boat. There's no need, because if you're thinking that, oh my gosh, this person's saying that and I'm not there yet, let's look at what you're doing. This is your reality. It's your dream. You're talking to yourself. They are you. So if there's any competition, or it feels, even if you witness any competition out there in your reality, if you witness it, it's just another competing against themselves. There's no competition. It's all completely equal. And everything has been chosen by you in this way before you descended into your physical human form. I'm going to show you something I've shown time and time again. I know. August 2017, that was shown, which shows the 3 streams. So these are energy streams. There's an energy stream here, which we can label 3D. And this is for souls. Remember, everyone is a soul. Souls that have chosen to only experience 3D before they exit the human body. Then we have those that awaken, and everybody traverses the awakening path, which we can call the 4th dimension, which is always a temporary stream. It's not a permanent stream. So everybody that awakens will, at their given point, and this is a soul choice, nothing to do with this human personality, it's a soul choice, will jump across to this energetic stream, which just goes higher and higher in energy frequency. So somebody, say in this awakened 4th dimensional position, may choose to be in it for 30 years. Some people have been awake a long time, and then somebody could awaken tomorrow, and they may have chosen at soul level a much shorter journey from awakening into the higher stream. Okay? So there's no judgments, there's no competition. It's all souls. And soul is just pure. It's pure energy that allows everything. It has no thoughts, it has no judgments. It's just the human personality that does. And it's that very human personality that we're dissolving, all of us, one part at a time. I did that little live in Menorca the other week saying, let go of the personality, because it's only the personality that causes us pain. And it's the absolute truth. It's only each individual's personality that is the cause of their pain. How they react to what's out there. How I react to what's out there. It's never my soul that is in pain. It's never my heart that is in pain. It's only ever the perceptions here that causes my pain. And that's why we're dissolving and dissolving and dissolving the personality. So it does not matter where anyone is on their path. What really matters is you're here and each are playing their divine role, and that we're doing this together. So some people that are in what I feel, well, I don't feel it, I know it to be the final stage before a change in consciousness. They may be the way showers that write. They may not be the way showers that write and post. They may be very private people that whose role isn't to write or to talk, but is actually just to hold that energetic frequency, because it is all about the energy getting accumulated and accumulated on the planet. But you may find that the people at this final stage, which I feel will last at least 3 months, may need more time to themselves. You may see them pulling away for a little while and then coming back in. And it's only because they know that they have to at that point, because everybody has to at that point, because it becomes that individual ascension, that individual stage before the consciousness stops feeling like it's in the head and it starts feeling like it's completely outside of the body whilst having a physical body. So you're going to notice people, way showers, people that write, people that assist, they're going to pull away a little bit and then they're going to come back in. Only because they know that that is serving the highest good to do so. But ultimately, everybody's here serving. In whatever way that looks, everybody is playing their part. So we're going through most definitely fast DNA upgrades. I actually feel them physically. I actually get the physical sensation of the DNA, so I know when it does happen. And we're going through these, they're not necessarily related to incoming waves. They can be, but not necessarily. At least 3 times a week, we've gone into this accelerated stage of DNA upgrade. So it's really, really accelerated now. The stage that I'm just going to call Christed consciousness. It's a state of consciousness that lives here. It lives here. So it doesn't have the extremes of the human personality. It's dissolved those and it lives here. It's something that's going to happen to many, many, many people in the world. It's going to happen at individual rate. So it's not a sudden, so many people suddenly become a higher state of consciousness. It will happen individually as this ascension goes. But the final stage before that happens is something I want to touch on. I might do a more detailed explanation of it in the future, in the near future. But it is going to be a very taxing stage for those that are in it now or that enter it soon. It's going to be a time when you are judged by the people in your dream. It will be a time when you question yourself and question everything about yourself and what you stand for and what you believe. It's going to be the hardest time that you have experienced on your ascending path. So during the ascension, during this awakening, we each go through what we can call mini deaths. So there are times in our ascension when we feel we've had death and a rebirth. And then at another point, higher frequency of ourselves, we go through another death and another rebirth. And we can go through several of these deaths and rebirths. The stage, the final stage before the Christed state, the full embodiment state, is the final death. So we'll go through one final death, and it's going to be the biggest of all of our own individual experiences of these living deaths. It's the biggest. But the good news is that we've already done it. It's already done. We're just going through the memory of it and the experience of it. So if you're going to go through it, know that you are more than capable of getting through it, and just go through it one day at a time. This is what's to come. This is the galactic timeline that we're on now. So just to go back, because I realise I've forgotten, the galactic timeline itself, if you imagine that we're, as a galaxy, we are spiraling and going nearer and nearer and nearer to the central sun, okay? More and closer and closer and closer. As we do that, we experience these light nodes opening. They're energetic gateways. And so you can hear of people in the spiritual community talking about gateways opening. Once a gateway is a light node, once that's on the galactic timeline that Earth transcends or transits into, once that gateway is open, it's open for good. It's open for everybody. So some people are bang on that galactic timeline. And so when a gateway opens, if their frequency, if their human frequency matches the galactic gateway, they go through. If a person's frequency isn't matching that gateway, they'll go through it when they do match it. So somebody could go through the same gateway a month later after the galactic timeline has opened the gateway, or they may go through it a year later after that gateway has been open. But the point is, it stays open. And if you're awakened, you're going to go through them anyway. So that just sort of helps explain about the galactic timeline and why everybody's always at different stages to one another. But the final stage, and this is as per the galactic timeline that we're in, is the stage where we will feel as if we're descending into a death. And it's going to be the hardest one of the lot. But we've already done it. And we wouldn't be doing it if we weren't capable of doing it. It's why we came. We didn't come here to just experience a living death. We came here to experience all of this and then ascend into a higher state of consciousness. So it's a final stage before the full embodiment stage of Christ, of what we can call Christed consciousness. And we know with history, or at least the storyline that we've been presented with, that there have been some beings, human beings, that reached that state before, but there was few of them, one at a time, in different centuries to each other. And what this is about many all over the planet doing this, more or less together, over a given period of linear time, which is the change. A huge change. Changes that we can't even imagine. Abilities that we only dream of. Understandings that have never been told before. It's the people, the human beings, that reach the state of the full embodiment, or the Christed consciousness state. Bearing in mind that when they reach that state, they're balanced, they're completely neutral, they're completely heart-based. Their consciousness isn't feeling like it's in the body. The consciousness feels as if it's completely outside the body, in no space and no time, and they're just observing. It's like having eyes over here, and you're just observing this physical vessel. You're just seeing this solid body and moving it. So it's a consciousness outside of the brain. It feels that way. It's the only way I can describe it, is it doesn't feel as if it's part of the body. It feels outside of the body. And it's the human beings that reach those stages, that stage, that are the human beings that experience first contact. So I guess what I'm trying to say, this is something that's been shown with my physical eyes in September, is that the next stage, well, the stage we're in is the final stage, to expect the living death, to expect to rise out of that whilst in the physical body, whilst living, that the Christed consciousness state is the next stage for humanity, followed by first contact. The energies, the beings that will be presented to humanity, to Earth, will come through the Christed state beings. In other words, they're not going to present and liaise with human beings that are not of the Christed state. And if you think about that deeply, when you go away from here, you'll understand why. Because they can only deal with neutrality. They can only deal with balance. They can only deal with human beings that are not in distortion of any kind. They can only deal with people that will be able to perceive the highest good for the whole, not just for themselves, not just for humanity, but for the whole of creation. And so it's pretty clear now where we are. Everybody is at their stage, and just keep going. I say keep going all the time, because it's the only thing to do. Whatever you experience, you will get through it. You will. And it may seem at the time that you can't get through something, but you do. You absolutely do. You just have to give it time and give yourself love and heart. It's always only ever a question of time before whatever goes on in here drops into the heart. And as soon as we drop into the heart, we resolve and we see from a higher level and then dissolve. So whatever you go through, it's just temporary. See it as temporary. And in those moments when you are finding it extremely hard, bring in, because you can, we can all do this now because of the energies, bring in energetic states that you have already experienced. So if any of you experienced the incoming wave last night, I think it was last night, I wrote about it, that had a bliss state, that had an ecstasy state, that had this lightness within the head and the body, that had an expansiveness to it. Because we've experienced that, it's here. You can bring that in again at your will. You don't have to wait for it to present again. You have the energy. You have the ability. It's called your human will. And you have to just will it into being. And you can then experience that bliss, that ecstasy, that feeling of peace in an instant. Just play with it, practice it. We can all do it because of where we are on this energetic galactic timeline. So I hope that helps. There's so much more really I could share, but I just wanted really just to try and support where everybody is. Wherever you are on your journey is so perfect. The perfection just unfolds and unfolds and unfolds. So just believe in yourself. Keep believing in yourself. And just remember, whatever happens out there, if it triggers you, there's something to do here within. If something happened out there and it didn't trigger you, it had no effect on you, but maybe it affected other people, say, but it didn't affect you, there's nothing for you to do. It's not affecting you. You can tell by your emotions. Let your emotions be the gauge. But if it's not affecting you, there's nothing to do there. If you're coming from a neutral space as your reaction, there's nothing for you to do. But if you get triggered, if I get triggered, I know there's something for me to look at within myself. And I know if I go away and quietly look at it from a space of love and gentleness and kindness, I know I can see what has triggered me, and I can work with that and dissolve it. And I know that if I do that, my energy will rise. And so will yours and yours and yours. It's how we do it. So I hope that helps. Keep going. We're going to be feeling like it's going to get tough. If you think of the sun, think of the planet, okay? Think of the seasons, and the sun and the planet, should I say, follows a sine wave of the sun. So we are descending now through to solstice. So it's going to get hard. This is why this is why it's so perfect that the final stage is a descension before 21 December, when we then start to rise. And so the planet rises with the sun. It starts to rise. So it is all perfect. And just send love as always. If this doesn't resonate with you, please just let it go. Be on your way. Trust yourself. Believe in yourself. And just keep going. I love you all so, so much. Whether I'm on here or not on here, I will keep supporting. always, always. So if there are some gaps, please bear with, and otherwise I will just keep supporting in the best way I can, because my heart is your heart, and we're here together just as one heart, and that's so simple. I love you guys. God bless you all. Take care of yourselves. Bye for now. Bye bye.